it's gone. So again,
Okay.
just for the people that weren't here, just talking about timing on fights so we can fight together rather than being disjointed. I feel like Hollywood's defense is a really good example. I mean, attack would be decent as well. I just think it'll be like way more clear in fight personally in fights where we win, but there's like mistakes that were made or things could have been done better. I feel like it's a little bit easier to kind of highlight that than fights that are like completely lost and fights that, where it just completely falls apart unless it was like, well, we just did this one thing wrong. It's a little harder to be like, well, you could have done this different, you could have done that different. Um, Everybody have different opinions on that, but I think the defense where we were doing well will really highlight it. But I will show just one fight here, especially. I'm pretty sure this is the first fight where Cal ends up walking up the stairs behind you. Right, so like people are standing at the choke, Tony's getting poked down, right? So like by the time that Optical is going in to kind of turn the Alari around, Cal is also just used hook, and so then Cal is gonna have to like walk to get somewhere to do something. So what's gonna end up happening is that like we shouldn't be standing in the choke, right? We have this big hitbox that can provide information for us, or Trey also roughly speaking is that as well, providing info. Um, I mean, with the double pocket, maybe he could be looking through there, but we don't really need to be like, with how squishy these people at the choke are, we don't need to be like doing anything until we have other people pulling attention. But Tone takes damage, gets forced out, can't look through to the fight. And then you're going in, yeah, you're turning the Alari around, but like realistically, you're just taking a 1v1 here, right? It's not like the Sig is taking, lethal damage and therefore the Alari isn't healing him anymore. And then Cal can't even like really do anything. So it's you go in, you fight the Alari, you get forced out, and then Cal walks up there, he goes in, and then I think he just gets exploded. And the whole time, like we're taking these isolated fights where nobody is really like. It's not even necessarily about like everyone looking at the same target at the same time. It's just that like the damage from our side is coming out at the same time together.
Yeah, I think I went in because I saw Cal walk up. I didn't know he was gonna go all the way up like that. Um,
No, you're fine.
yeah,
And this is where the communication is like key. And I would argue that DPS shouldn't necessarily be calling tempo because you guys are having to focus on shooting people in the head. Like
yeah,
for these other roles, it's like it's more forgiving. Support is like, okay, I heal people and maybe I do damage. In the case of like Zen, you probably want to be doing damage, but I'm not really super worried about that. I just want to, in my opinion, communication primarily is coming from uh, tank and supports, and DPS will feed things, right? You shoot somebody in the head, you communicate that you've shot them in the head. Like, you don't necessarily need to say anything else other than like if your tank asks you like, are you, can you play the game? Then you can be like, yes, I can play the game. Um,
yeah.
but that's just, yeah.
I think I did call that I was like, hey, I'm like set up, and then I was like scouting a little bit, and I think I also called that I had like two or three looking at me at some point. I think I had like an echo, and Bap maybe wasn't like Bap was aware of me, but I don't know.
In my opinion, biggest thing is going to be that when they start to look at Cal and you primarily, right? Like ideally, maybe Cal shouldn't be doing this. I think he walked underneath high ground and then was like, "Well, I'm just gonna walk around the stairs." But like, then you're going here, so maybe we shouldn't be going to the same spot. Or if we are doing that, then we go at the same time. Um, Maybe Cal should just be walking up this way to kind of turn them. But the
Yeah,
biggest thing is that like when you guys turn people at the same time, regardless of whether you're stacking or you're split, that's when we swing at the choke to start doing damage, right? And so again, it's like you can call it right because you can look back through the wall and you can see outlines. But like Cal can stand in front of them for the longest period of time because of his health bar, and relay things back, and then also supports can be um, are even better at it because they get to see how healthy people are through the wall rather than just the outline. Uh, but biggest thing is just this needs to swing when they start to turn, and we're almost there, but again, like you went in and you got forced on the re, and then you're able to come behind the Soj, but Cal is like taking a shit ton of damage. So maybe Cal just shouldn't be here. But again, I could go into like all the little micro things. This is again why I don't really necessarily want to talk about fights where like we lost, because I'm gonna be doing this. Whereas on fights where we win, then I can be like, well, this the hit could have been, you know, timed differently. But I will just play it forward all the way, just so we can kind of see what happens. Yeah, I mean, and like the Sig never felt, completely like pressured nearly at all. Um, the VAP is just kind of standing back here. I think he took damage towards the end, but like it's just, ideally when we do this, what we want is like, turning people one for one, right? So like you go in, you turn the Alari maybe, and then like if Cal goes up this way, he turns the Sig. Maybe that gives our double pocket Ash a chance to like execute the Soj, or walk even wider and kill the Echo or the BAP maybe. I'll play
Yeah.
I'll play one more fight and then I'm gonna go to defense. And I will say, tank coming out like early is fine. There are comps where you kind of want everyone to like just hide and not do anything and then come out. But I think with the Roadhog, it doesn't necessarily matter if we're, if he's taking damage because it's feeding him ult charge. It's maybe feeding our supports ult charge. And like feeding them ult charge, especially doesn't really matter at this point because they already won that first fight. They're so far ahead of us that like it doesn't really matter. One time where you would want to do that is like if we had won, then like you could avoid feeding them ult charge, even if we didn't have ults yet, to like keep that gap. But the small room is questionable. But even aside from that, even without us going in the small room, we're still encountering that same issue where it's like Cal comes out, he starts taking damage, and like we're not completely swinging to be able to like to do something with that yet. If that makes sense, right? Our Mercy's still coming through, our Zen is still coming through, so it's really only Tone looking into the fight, and like you're still kind of
Well,
like preparing to go look at something, right? Like you're not necessarily. This is like I guess you could triple blink, to get onto the
I
stairs
think
and start bursting somebody, but like that's a lot of blinks. I feel like don't play Tracer, but I feel like you don't want to
I
be
take elevator. I take elevator and I blink onto high ground.
okay, but
And
still,
I
still,
started
right?
doing that because I saw him walk.
Like I think like ideally what we do here is like uh we get into a position where like when Cal walks out to right here, right, we have our supports like and Ash able to look out from here, or maybe they wide swing behind him and look through like that, and then you're already like somewhere where you can do something. Maybe you're like standing underneath them already, you know, giving you time to kind of sneak there. They're not really necessarily looking back here. Um, they're obviously gonna know if you're like already up on elevator because they'll make the elevator sound. They should know, but just the timing thing, right? And then I'll play it forward just so that we get to see exactly what happens here. But like because we're not stepping out to participate in the fight at the same time, we're already like putting ourselves at a disadvantage. So we should just end up trickling in and dying or getting forced out and then people dying.
Yeah, I think I was uncomfortable rotating like aggressively, just because I kind of felt like they're just all gonna turn to look at me and I'm gonna get forced out, and I feel like not much is gonna come out of it unless everyone walks. And I don't know. I also kind of feel like a tracer should go like at the same time, but I feel like at the same time or second, just because if everyone starts shooting me, I get forced out. I can't really be as threatening,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
have
for
to
sure.
come a distance.
You
Whereas
see,
like
and you see what
I
happens
should
here
be
though.
a second late. Yeah.
So like, but like exactly what happens here is that like
I, w- I, w-
Why
I
is
was a
my
little bit late, and I feel like that resulted in like me getting like a kill.
but more specifically, it's like you get the kill. I think just because. So I think Bap took a little bit of chip damage, and then you're able to confirm that kill. But now both these people are like able to work to look at you, and maybe they're forced down because their damage is coming through from the other side. But um, kind of what I would like to see is what you're saying of like coming through second. But like there's a way to do that where like even if you come through at the same time that everybody else starts to come through, and like that's I'm saying in a in a perfect world, we all like our triple damage backline steps out like wide swings right here, and then our hog like right after our hog is like starting to walk out to this point, and then our hog is even wider, and then you're maybe able to come through like the door behind them or come through the way that you did, and like you're able to get through as they're looking at us, right? Then they take chip damage, and then maybe you can confirm like 2 kills potentially, or at least get your one, and then get out, and we're stable, and they're -1, right? And we made that space for ourselves. But
Yeah,
kind of what ends up happening is that like, um, because we trickle out, we lose a lot of resources to like compensate for that, right? We use a lot of vape. The orb has to go to hog. Like Tony doesn't get to step out as far now. Maybe he should be stepping out through the door, but we're coming out main. And the Sig doesn't even feel like he has to look like over this way. He's still just kind of like looking down over here. I think the Soja's also looking down over here. But again, it's like for fights where we're like disadvantaged, it's hard to say. I could I can go like top down and then be like, um, where is it? Like there's a lot of options. Like I have a lot of solutions for this of like like if we wide swing across this and we create a a kill box like through their supports, right? Yeah, the tank is behind us, but like damage is coming through from this side, and then maybe you come from the way that you came from, and then you're in there. So we're creating this pinch like from the front, or like maybe you come through dark, you come this way, and then you're like, if you get over here, you can kind of like stand here and wait. It doesn't matter if they know you're there, because then like you're there, even if someone's like checking you, that either means that someone's checking you and they're not looking forwards, so we already have an advantage there, and then we come out, or they're like split between looking forwards and looking backwards, and then when we step out up front, they look down here, and then you get to come from behind without them looking at you. Um, they should know where you are, right? You're not a Sombra, so like it's hard for you to get somewhere without them knowing about you. I imagine you crouch walked this way to get like over here, maybe. Um,
I probably like just started running whenever they started shooting at Cal.
yeah, that's fair. That as well. I mean,
I
like
I feel like
another
it's
option would be like I said, if if our damagey backline came out like this, and then Cal walked through the door and went to point, or even like Cal walks up like this, and then we just have our people standing like here, looking up at the high ground, and then again what we went for before, where you could then come like this. Uh, Lots of solutions, and it's like it's just the most important thing. The thing that I'm trying to highlight here is just that we want to start the fight at the same time, right? And the two biggest things that um, make that a problem are realizing like how quickly people can walk. Um, right, Trey is a little bit faster. Not that like you're going so quickly that you're leaving people in the dust and like creating an issue. It's just that we do need to be aware of that, and sometimes quick heroes
I
can kind of get people strung out. So I find when I'm playing like Anna in a super floaty dive comp, I put myself in a bad spot to like participate in the fight because I don't have a movement ability. Um, and like I just do it. I just whatever, fuck it, I don't care. But that is something that's worth noting. And then the other thing is like getting antsy and like wanting to do something. Like we don't necessarily just have to constantly do something. Um, we can kind of like chill for a second, right? Like Cal is like, I'm actually curious. Let me play back because he might just hold W until he gets to that point. There might not really be like stopping.
Head bubbles? A little.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just because it'll
Take them off.
rewinding. Yeah, it'll
There we go.
it'll make it go away.
like I have the Lari like looking for me.
No, that's fine. I'm not even concerned with this. It's more on the everybody else right now.
Core.
Yeah, and so like pay attention to Cal is like not concerned with the fact, or it appears that Cal is not concerned with the fact that Tony died and has to respawn, right? So he goes and takes damage. It doesn't necessarily matter too much. He vapes. And then he's like already looking to go out again. And then this is vape. He might have orb. But that is something significant. Is if he's using a whole bunch of vape, like because he's just poking too early, like using his resource that he might need to like be able to stand in front of them, then we don't have that, and then we can't stand in front of them for as long. And then alternatively, like, like if Shap takes chip damage, right, then Shap can't peek again. He wants to heal up first, and then that might mean that Puffles has to heal Shap up, can't damage boost for Tony. If Tony takes damage, then Tony can't peek again. These kinds of things, right? So like taking this early damage, standing in doorways before we're ready to like actually stand in the doorway is will result in fights being disjointed, right? So not thinking about how long it'll take for people to walk, right? Cal just kind of walked. The only reason they stopped was because he did take damage to vape. That's what it looked like anyways. I'm not trying to like flambe anybody. But it looked like he stood in the room only because he was vaping, right? Then we're using that resource. And then, as I said, we took early poke, and it means that, our fight is going to be disjointed, or we're not going to have enough resources to like actually take this fight. And I spreading out across the point like this it's not great. I don't know what Cal was thinking. I can ask him maybe when he gets here.
He's
about,
here.
He's
You
here.
are here? Okay. Is he typing in
I'm
chat?
here. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So I don't think you ever like walked up high ground, except for like to try to walk up high ground behind them. What's the thinking there?
Is this towards the end of the fight?
This is like right at the beginning of the
Near the
fight.
beginning.
Like the very beginning?
Mhm.
Nah, it's the second fight.
That's the second fight. Can you play it again?
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
I'll play it back from the beginning for you. I'll just play it 2 times.
Yeah, and then turn on spectate overlay.
Yeah.
Very first fight right here.
Yep.
Okay, I see. And then right here, I say, okay, I might have to rotate around with you optical. Then I walk to point, and then I walk up the stairs to try to push him off high ground, but I die. Okay.
Why not go like this though? Especially because you already got that corner. Why not go like that?
That corner. I just feel like if I mean I can play that corner, but I think what I was trying to do was I thought optical was going up there with me. So I think I went up there to like try to do a pinch or something.
So I guess if I may interject here, pleb, what are some of the questions and things we can be talking about at the beginning of a fight like this, like as the entire team? What are the things that we?
Can you
Sorry.
say that again?
Yeah. What are the kind of things that we can be talking about or mentioning at the very beginning of the start of the team when we see what their comp is, see where they're positioned? What can the entire team be talking about?
Well, we'd have to
like
close the.
Where do
Like,
we want to be? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to start and where do we want to end?
Yeah, so like where's our kill box? Where do we want to rotate? Where like what do we want to be taking a certain position based on their comp? If we do that, how are we doing that? Where are we rotating? Who's rotating? Like those types of things that we can establish once we know where they're positioned and what heroes they're playing. And then that confusion, Cal, that you mentioned earlier, that of you thinking when you were pushing up that you had optical with you, that can be alleviated because you guys can say, okay, this is where we want to hit. This is our kill box. This is our hit box. how do we stage appropriately to be able to actually do that on what Pleb's talking about, which is like on the same tempo, on the same hit at the same time, right? So that's all I wanted
Yeah.
to mention. Sorry, Pleb.
No, you're good. So we wanna create a pinch, right? You want to fight together with optical here, like Phoenix is saying, right? If you can make this walk, right, and get up there with optical also coming there behind, then like fair enough. But you saw how much damage you took. And the reason for that is that, well, I mean, for one, you're walking in front of the enemy team. But also, like, our people at the choke don't necessarily know that that's the game plan, so they can't come up and kind of take the pressure off of you a little bit. Right? Maybe they pull the Echo's attention. Maybe they pull the Sig's attention. Maybe they can pull the BAP's attention. You know, we're trying to like turn people for each other, right? It's not just about the front turning people around. The back can also do the same thing, right? And then vice versa for the damage as well. But you take a bunch of damage, and then optical had already gone in as well and is forced out, right? And so this is, as Phoenix is saying, like, where do we want to take this fight, right? And if we're saying to ourselves, like, we want to fight for this, right? Fair enough, right? And then we want to get a pinch through here, and we want to fight from the front like that. Like, that's fine, but that needs to be established so that we can have, you know, the people here like hide right here maybe, or even hide like back on this corner, and then come out and fight for this at the same time that you're like stable inside of here and then walking out. I think that it's going to be really hard for you to be stable in there. It's going to require a lot from everybody to kind of like pull enough damage away from you for you to be able to get up there with just Fape, and be full health and then have enough Fape to like kind of participate up there. And so that's why I'm suggesting maybe walking up the stairs instead, right? You already, so like this is fine. You walked underneath the high ground to avoid taking damage from them, right? And then you came to here. Like once we're here and we're stable, you know, it's already been established for us that hey, we want to fight for this right here. So we're gonna have optical come from behind because optical's already standing over there, right? And then you're here now, and you get to just like walk up like this, and like our core like this can kind of come up a little bit to take the pressure from the Sig while you make that walk, and then once you get up here to do this pinch, it's getting a little ridiculous.
I'm afraid of my core walking up like that a little bit just because it's Sig and there's an Echo, and like one of them can pop. We don't have a lot of healing. I think
This
we're playing
okay,
Zen.
but for 3
Okay.
squishies, this is a lot of healing. It is a lot of healing. It's not a lot of healing for you. Like if you have Harmony and you have Beam, that's not necessarily a lot of healing on you because your hitbox is bigger, right? But for
Oh,
you
okay.
know, like for like Beam on a Zen is like it's pretty big. That's a lot of healing. Or Beam on Tony is a lot. The only person that's like really gonna struggle for health here is gonna be Puff. But even then, like Mercy, right? So like we have GA, we have things that we can do as the Mercy player to not die, to potentially not even need orb, right? Especially with perks. So that's not, I'm not super concerned with that, right? The only thing that we avoid doing, given that we do have the healing that we have, is like just coming out right here and just standing here to try to pull aggro for you, right? But even if we had like a BAP and a Kiri, for instance, we might not want to be doing that. And that is an insane amount of healing, right? We have triple second life even, with those two healers. Like, we don't necessarily want to just go stand in front of the enemy team while our tank is like, positioning, right? So that's what I would say
Yeah.
about that is that like if we're playing for this hitbox, we gotta figure out a better way to craft that fight for ourselves, right? So optical's already there, right? Optical can go like this, and I'm a little ahead of the fight, right? Like these people aren't just staring down optical; they're only over here because optical already went and got forced on Re, and then you're dead. So now there's nothing to necessarily stop them from trying to hunt him down. But at the beginning of the fight, where you're like standing over here, right, and everybody's back here at the choke, like we can walk this portion up a little bit so that then you get to walk up the stairs, and then by the time that you're like connecting here, optical can come through and connect up top to fight like this, and then we have our core, spamming from here, right? And then we create a pinch. But that does require like us saying to ourselves, okay, like we want to create this pinch over the high ground, so like you don't necessarily need to spell it out for everybody, right? Like these people are squishy, so they're just gonna this is where they're gonna stand intuitively, right? And then like Trey is gonna I mean Trey has options, but like it makes sense that optical went through the to the mega and then is like staging from there and they're gonna go up behind. Like it all makes sense, right? And then you're like the one that has like truly has options, right? Like you could also walk to the mega and then go from behind, to kind of like mask Trey coming through there, or you can walk in front like that at the same time that Trey comes up top, or you can get to this corner and then walk up like that, or maybe try to like pull aggro by like walking dark, just like being silly. Lots of things that you can do, but most important thing is that like when we go to like put substantial damage on them, especially because we are a glass canning comp, like we're doing it all at the same time. We're doing the things that make our comp work all at the same time, rather than, somebody goes in, gets forced out, somebody else goes in, dives, like, and then these people are like, it puts a lot of pressure on, Tony to like hit a headshot to one shot somebody with the comp that we're running. So we just want to, we want to make it easier for ourselves.
I think I went Tracer specifically because of our support comp. I think normally I play like Pharah or Genji here, but I kind of felt like we wouldn't have enough healing, so I went Tracer because I don't need healing as Tracer. I'm a lot more self-sufficient.
I will say that doing that at the start because you think like it'll kind of help our comp along is fair, right? And it makes sense. What I would say is that like if you come out and you don't see that they have double hit scan, slash like triple hit scan, pseudo hit scan, and then an echo, right? Like if we don't know about this and we come out and they don't have this, then you still could go Farah, and either take the Harmony Orb or take the Beam, whichever we think is better.
I don't mind playing flyers into hit scans. I think it's doable.
I would say quad hit scan is right, and they don't have
Yeah.
quad hit scan, right? But like this is a fair counter for the most
Yeah.
part.
I
And
think
then
I
they
would
have
only ever play flyers if I had like a baller or Winston or something.
that's fair.
Something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
So I do have a question for you guys. Do you guys know why Pleb is mentioning the tempo hit that he's describing here, where we have multiple angles and everything, and like do we understand why he's mentioning that?
Yeah, so we can split the attention of the enemies so that, Cal isn't getting eviscerated the moment he steps into sight, so that like I'm not getting forced out immediately whenever they look at me.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's like confusing them. They're more likely to make mistakes if they don't know who to look at.
Yeah, it's super easy for them if they can only
Yeah,
see
it's
one
easy
person,
to.
right?
Yeah, because think of it like this, Cal. Before you mentioned like you were scared of both the Echo and the Sig walking up those stairs, right? If I'm not mistaken,
Uh,
Cal.
I was scared of them popping. My back line is when Plug was saying that when they should walk up.
It's exactly. It's the exact same
Yeah.
thing. If you were to walk up, you're walking into a high amount of damage. And then like let's ask Shap. Shap, if you're sitting at choke, are you also afraid of the Sig and the Sojourn and the Echo? Just standing at choke with a little old Zenyatta? Of course you are, right? So it's like exactly what Pleb was saying. Like you're wanting to take these multi angles and you want to do it at the exact same time, so that way they're not hard focusing on one particular angle, because we're only going on one particular angle before everybody else is ready. Because if Cow were to just pop up alone and the people in the choke aren't ready and they're not like also providing damage to like kind of turn heads a little bit, Cal's just gonna get burnt. And the same thing, if Cal doesn't go in when our backline pokes on the choke, they're just gonna get eaten alive if Cal's not ready to stage or if Optical's not ready to stage. So it's really important to like talk about where your hitbox is and making sure everybody's ready and confirming with each other verbally, like, okay, I'm ready. If you need to 3-2-1, you could 3-2-1, whatever is you guys are comfortable with. But making sure that happens to alleviate all types of focus on particular chokes, you know? Sorry, pleb. Continue.
Sorry, I'm
I just wanted to
eating
make
some
sure
sweet
that I
tarts.
wanted to ask them questions to
Yeah.
make sure they understood.
Yeah, I'm bad about that. To put it in perspective from the other side, right? When we come through the choke, like the way that we come through the choke is doesn't really matter which door we come through. I suppose if we come through this door, then we might see the bat first. But if we come through the main choke, like from this point, you can only see Sig and Sojourn, right? Then you have to come like more forwards this way, and then maybe now you get to see the BAP. And then like once you're like out here, then you can see the echo. And so we want to like achieve that by, like Optical mentioned before, of like people coming out second. Yeah, I mean whatever you want to do as Trey, as long as we're like participating in the fight. I trust the Trey player to do Trey things, but like everybody else is, it's basically just make sure that we're stepping out behind our tank, right? We're not on a brawl comp, so we don't need to have it be where like our tank turns the corner and then everybody else is turning the corner like immediately after that. It can be our tank steps out and then like 1 second later, 2 seconds later, our supports are starting to participate in whatever our tank is looking at. But that's really the only thing, is that like we position ourselves so that one, we pull aggro, and then we have our tank pull aggro first, and then start to have people come out, so that we can kind of divvy up the share our health, give ourselves a better chance of getting valuable damage into whatever we're trying to hit on, right? Particularly in this instance, the high ground. But just highlighting that from the other side of, right, like when we come out through the choke, we only see Sig, right? So ideally, this up on high ground is pulling our attention, and the BAP is free. The BAP is free to do whatever, the Echo is free to do whatever, the Alari is free to do whatever. It's the same case from our side, where it's like, okay, we have our hog walk out, he stages right here, and then he walks up the stairs, and like he pulls these people to look at him. Then our Trey comes from behind, and our core fights from the low ground, right? And all I was saying about our core walking up a little bit is just like, just show at the choke. That way, our tank can walk up here, and we're sharing our health, right? The 3 people in the back that equate to essentially another tank with how much health we have there. We're pulling some of this damage. Maybe we're pulling some of this aggro, or we're shooting the Sig enough that like he's using cooldowns. He's we're turning the BAP towards the Sig. These kinds of things to make it easier for our hog to get up here with more health. But I'm gonna play this forward just for Cal, just so you can see exactly like kind of what I'm talking about.
After this playthrough, Pleb, can we go over Cerveza? Because I know the team wanted to do that, and I'm sure you'll see tempo-based things there.
Yeah, Cerveza, and if we have time, call CO as well. And like we're getting picks, right? But I was saying this from day one about the like, you do not want to rely on people hitting headshots. Like speaking in general terms, right? It doesn't really matter
Mechanics.
about it. Right? You don't want to rely on mechanics, yes, to like win fights. Ideally, we're turning up, we're heating up for the match, whatever we're doing. But you want to have this like the baseline good fundamentals of like, okay, we're stepping out all at the same time. So like this gives us a good way to think about it, is that it gives us a better chance of having bad mechanics and still winning the fight, if that makes sense, right? It gives us more opportunities to miss so that we can still win.
Yeah.
Um,
Mechanics amplify your positioning.
yeah.
It only matters if you're in a good spot to use them.
And like it goes our way, but look at how long it took for us to get those kills, and like Tony ended up dying as well. Like if we can manage to get like a super clean hit here, where like Cal walks out to like here, and then our supports start to play from here, like all together, or sorry, not our backline plays together from here, or our backline maybe comes out here and starts to play, and then optical is going in like as well. You know, Cal walks out, and then Trey goes in, and our back comes out this way, like at the same time. Maybe we get like really good chip damage up here, and then optical just has to go in and like quick melee all of them to death, like, and then the fight ends like super fast. It's like what ends up happening is that optical goes in, like we get a little bit of chip, optical goes in, he kills, I think he killed Bap, right, and then you're forced
Killed
out, and then you
Alari.
kind of have to chill for a sec, and then you have to go back in,
Alari.
right, and like, well, I meant like right at the beginning of that. I think Bap is the first to die, or Soj. No, Bap. Yeah. But whatever. It's the fight is rather scuffed in that sense, right? We put ourselves, because we step out poorly, we put ourselves in this position where now we have to hit these shots, and then the fight just kind of drags out, right? And like the longer that these fights drag out, especially because we have this glass cannon comp, the more likely it is that they come back and kill us, and they turn around, right? Very easy for them to have capitalized on Tony dying, right? Maybe Tony dies, and then we go for the res while some of them are still alive, and then maybe Pup dies because we thought that we could get the res off, but these kinds of things, it trickles into like starting the fight poorly can trickle into us losing the fight even worse. So we just want to step out at the same time, and then I want to look at defense now, because our defense is really good, and I'm not saying that your attack was bad. It's just like biggest thing in Overwatch is like if you take that first fight poorly, like you put the other team in such an advantage that it's really hard for you to crawl back. Push is the perfect example of that, where like if you lost the first fight, they're probably going to win the second fight. Now you have to win 3 fights to take back the lead, right? And then you lose another fight, then it's that much more. And that's exactly what happened on Colosseo, right? We lost like 4 fights in a row, I think, and then we won like 5 fights, but we didn't even get the lead back, like. But defense, where is that? Let me drop my eraser. Did we fold? Is that why it's so short?
Ready, one.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Right. And like it's like it makes a lot more sense on defense, right? We have our supports standing back here. Like it's just intuitive that our supports are standing back here. They'll be able to participate like on the choke or up top. Like, and they get to just stand here, right? It makes way more sense because it's like, we're on defense. We set the terms and conditions now. So like it's much easier to be like, well, this is where we're gonna fight. We're just gonna stand here. But we want to try to achieve that on attack, right? And the way that you do that is what I've been talking about, the tempo. The thing that I want to talk about here is, and we had a little bit of a discussion, I think, after the map. Just again, being mindful of where we take the hit, right? And so I think optical, you were talking about like dynamiting them as they cross here. The thing that I was explaining is that like if I go down and I look from behind our supports, like our supports can see that, they can see the cross, but like even if they come out to like here, like they can only see where you are right now. They can't see in the stairwell, right? They can only see like through the choke, the cross, and on top of the stairs, right? And so that's what I was talking about. Is like we can go for the hit, like we can tempo hit there, but we don't have supports that can participate in that once they're in the stairwell, right? It's very easy for them to just get stable there. Like even if you kill the Juno, that doesn't necessarily mean like they can just stand there. Maybe we chip them down after that, but our supports are too far away to participate in that fight, and I don't necessarily want them to go stand up on the high ground in front of them. Like I don't think comp really matters too much. It's like against most things, like I wouldn't want to stand close to them, unless I'm a super floaty support, like I'm a Kiri or I'm a Moira or like a Lu maybe, somebody that can just, oh, I don't like it here anymore, I'm gone. But that's just something important to note. Now, if it was like Anna's end, then maybe that would be a different story, right? We discord the tank and then we throw a nade onto the dynamite, and then it's like we're effectively still participating in that fight, even
Well,
though we're not there.
I mean, like whenever they're rotating, let's just say we hear speed ring. If we hear speed ring, they're gonna probably do something. Like one would
Yeah,
conclude
for
that.
sure.
And if like if he gets like 3 people on the dynamite, or if he gets like the Juno in the dynamite, it's so easy to kill Juno if she's like burning. Like Juno's really easy to kill as Tracer. And I don't I'm just thinking about this from like a dive macros perspective, where it's kind of like in like a divey dive, you kind of want to like nade the backline, like punish the rotations, because that's whenever like on a brig is like really weak, is whenever they're rotating. So like if you somehow land a nade on the backline, Winston comes in, Tracer comes in, there's no more backline basically, and that's what I was kind of thinking of, because I was trying to like synergize with my team, and it's like I can go off of dynamites and I can attack the discorded person, and it's like other than that, it's basically a ranked game.
No, for sure. And I don't disagree with you. It's just there is no dive to follow up with you. That's all I'm talking about, right? We throw cooldowns at that, and then it's just you versus them, and you can go in here. That's fine. I just want to make sure that we're not like overcommitting the rest of us to this, right? And I want to make sure that you're aware that like there is no more follow up. That's it, right? So like you go in, you try to kill whoever, like somebody's burning, you try to get your kills, but like you don't die here, right? This is just like
Yeah.
a soft hit, and you can invest, like obviously you're probably gonna invest recall, you know, may like in an ideal world you blink, like you're standing so close to this that you blink once and then you go kill somebody and then you like just blink out and you still have re.
Yeah.
But like if you re, it's fine, and then we're just kind of waiting for them to, because probably what happens is that I think you came for the mega, or you were standing here to begin with. I don't remember. But you know,
I came
you
from
go back
Mega,
down here and
probably.
you live, and then they like, and they're hurting for that, right? Even if we didn't kill somebody, it's fine that we use cooldowns there, because they're gonna be hurting for that. They use ring, and now they're maybe, I mean, she used nade, like, I'm trying to think of like what else they would have used. Maybe they use torpedoes there. Is that
She's holding. She has sleep dart out right now.
Yeah, right. So
In her
like
hand.
we're getting cooldowns, right? And she's using sticky. They're using cooldowns, and then they have to get stable here. They have to hey, we want to make sure that our Juno's healed, and they probably,
Yeah.
and this guy, he's probably not worried about his Juno getting healed. Like, so then it becomes, he says, oh okay, like the tray is out, so I want to go, and then the Juno and the Anna are like, well, we're healing up and we're slow now because we're healing up. We don't have cooldowns. These kinds of things. So it's like, it's fine to go for this. Just recognize that this is a soft hit. Not everyone can participate in it. Our real hitbox is going to be up here. If we kill somebody in the cross, that's really good. But this is where they're going to die, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I
they go
died
lower,
here.
or they go lower. They try to follow your re, and then they come out here. In which case, our hit is here.
Yeah. I think I die here because like I think I hit like a nice clip on Juno. I was like, oh, I can kill one, and then I just stayed too long.
No,
If I remember correctly.
and
I
that's
don't know.
fine. I mean, as long as you're calling yourself on it, or somebody's calling you on it, like, so that you're aware of that happening. And I don't mean to discourage,
Yeah, like I need to live here.
going for things, going for your clips. I don't mean to discourage that. Just again, the good fundamentals of like, okay, like I want to get this kill. Ideally, I get this kill, but I should live here, right?
Yeah.
When I get in the habit of uptime, uptime is greater than uh, the kill, especially on defense, right? So like, I mean, I guess for the tray, it doesn't matter so much. The spawns are like relatively the same distance because your tray. It's a little bit further, I think, for D. But it's like, if you die here, you can still come back. But if you didn't kill anybody, it's really bad. And even if you killed the Juno, it's like, again, it's like they can stable there. They still have the Anna. Maybe you kill the Anna and the Juno lives. But whatever, I'm hyperfixating on that. I just want to point out the team macro of it, of like recognizing that while you consider this to be a, we should go for this dive tempo here, we do not have a dive comp, even though we have, we can throw dynamite over the cross, we can throw discord on the cross. Maybe they get chipped by Cal, maybe they get chipped by Puff. Like, once they're out of LOS, the follow up for you falls off a cliff, and so we just want to be aware of when we're playing defense and
Yeah.
we're playing these range comps. Like we can hit here, all of us, or we can hit here, all of us. I'll draw it better, so we better understand here, right? We can hit here, as all of us, right? Like everything, all the land that the sun touches is ours, or whatever the fucking quote is. Right? We can't see in there. We can't see back here, like, but we can see here.
Yeah.
So I just want to just making that clear of like, go for things. Don't die doing it.
Indeed.
And you don't die, like it's fine. So like it ends up working out. The only thing that I would say is for Cal is to, again, talking about the, you know, what we can see and what we can't see, right? Like your supports can't do anything for you in here. You know,
So
that puts a lot of
I
pressure
should
on.
I should play in the line of sight of my team.
You don't necessarily need to do it. You know, like you're on Tracer. That's like the meme of the kit is that like I think it's ideal that like when Cal / the rest of the team is kind of pulling aggro, that's like your best time to hit them. But as long as you're like participating as often as you can, I think that's all you really need to worry about, right? So living and like being in and out as much as possible, as a result of living. But for
Yeah, the hitbox
Cal
itself.
specifically, right? When we back down these stairs, and I think Puff tries to throw a lamp for you, like, and you get walled in here as well. It's just like, again, be mindful of what the rest of the team can see, right? The rest of the team can see like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, if we get like, again, for like Trey or for like Tone, you know, just throw an orb to them. They'll hide and cover. You know, you guys will hide and cover. You'll get healed up. You'll these kinds of things. But like an orb is not going to save Cal in this position. And like throwing a lamp in here is like, that's not something that we want to count on, right? So we just want to keep in mind that the space that we're playing for is the high ground here. Once they've gotten up the stairs, right? If they decide that they want to hit for high ground, then we fight over high ground. And I know that it's like I split, you know, like if I back down these stairs, then the supports can't see anymore. The supports can see like this. So then, you know, realistically, you're only fighting him. Like he can only see you. But if you go stand out on the high ground, you're gonna have a much better time living against them and having your supports participate with you. And another thing to consider here too is that I didn't even look at supports, but what we might be doing is because you're backing down the stairwell, we might be shifting over to the right to kind of try to help you in the stairwell, and then now we can't see this way anymore, and we're like less inclined to stand here because now we don't have that whatever amount of health Roadhog has, 750, or is it 800?
It's 800.
But you get the idea. Like we don't have that thing that blocks damage for us in front of us, and so we don't want to just stand in front of damage for free. So then we shift over, either because we're trying to avoid damage or trying to help you, and then now subsequently our damage potential through their backline is less.
I will say, I only really did this because, and I know I know like the line of sight of my team and everything. It's just I usually go for risky plays like this. And I was only testing the waters on what they do, and they didn't really do much. So I just sort of stayed there because I mean they were kind of looking to jump my backline, but then when they saw me, they hesitated, right? So it was it was not calculated. It was just like a risk that I took, and if it didn't go well, I mean,
No, and
yeah.
I understand. I didn't think that you just autopiloted down the stairs, right? If you were autopiloting, then you probably say, "Oh, they're up here. I'm gonna just drop down. I'm gonna drop down low ground now." Like,
Can I ask a question in response to that,
yeah.
Cal?
No.
What what's the risk reward factor of that? Like, what's the game plan there? Because I think for me and Shab, it was kind of like, oh shit, throw ammo, we're backing up, and what is like the I guess the end goal of being there? Maybe. Because I think if we play it, I think shit went wrong. Like at some point. Hmm.
I thought he died here, but I don't know. I was just firing in
I
the
think it was the
choke
other
the whole time.
Hollywood map. Because I do remember that as well.
Oh,
But
man.
that's a good question that Puffles is asking. Cal, what's the as Puffles said, risk reward or intention of I mean unironically playing out of LOS if your support's there?
Usually I don't. Usually, I mean, I'd get why it'd be a bad idea, but right here is just like that. I, I mean, I don't really take too much damage from Hazard, and I mean the only uh, the only risk to me being there is getting walled off, but they didn't really take advantage of it. So when I saw that they weren't taking advantage of it, I sort of just stayed there. I guess pushing the limits so that way we could at least get like an advantage or something.
So if I hear what you're saying 100%. I think if I were to put myself in a support perspective, it sounds like your reward is baiting no, sorry. Your reward is succeeding against players who aren't using their characters properly. The risk is playing against somebody who will. You know what I mean? Like if that May and Hazard properly walled you, properly killed you, properly the team properly focused you in that small corridor, the risk is way stronger than I mean playing against a team that won't do that. And you can't gauge that in every scenario of whether the team will be successful or not. Will they be more coordinated than you? So it's like gauging that risk and reward of like, is it even beneficial to risk this, or is there a smarter play that will keep you alive longer, make the kill more successful, and not putting your supports at a high risk? You know what I mean? If I'm not mistaken, Puffles, I think that's where you were going with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and to go a little further, if it's like, because I know a lot of times you say, well, I'm trying to like bait or set up. I guess as from your perspective, then what do you want us to do ideally, I guess? Like, what is like, um, uh, I guess you have say you keep, or I guess when I play Ana and I'm like cooking, it's like, yeah, I'm up to trust like a cooking play, but what are we? I guess the question is, what are we cooking? And I guess in that play, I'm just not seeing it. I'm not like seeing the vision for like yeah.
Like if you're
So
trying,
would
if you're,
that be a sorry?
I guess I'm not seeing Cal's vision.
he's trying to isolate somebody, probably. That's what I think.
But I think what it could alleviate that is communicating your idea, Cal. So that way, like, if you're like, okay, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna like pull aggro, I know you're not gonna be able to help me. Like, even things obviously that's very long winded in a fight, but communicating that will allow Puffles and Shap to be like, okay, Shap throws an orb, good luck, GG's, good luck, and then they can focus on damage instead of high focusing on you trying to hope that you peek out for a heal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
fair.
yeah. So if you're like cooking and you say my gut is just telling me that this is the right spot to be, I need you guys to. It's like when I hook. It's like I don't. I'm not saying that this is the perfect play. But it's a play, right? You don't have to have like the perfect decision. But if your gut is telling you, it's like my gut's telling me that this is the spot to be, and when I hook, we do this. Or like when wall comes out, we do this. Or when nade comes out, we do. It's like when, I guess when and what do we? Is that like
Yeah,
fair? Am
it
I
makes
like
sense to
making
me,
sense?
right? So like, go down here, bait the has to use wall behind you, then just walk forward back out here, and then now our hitbox is this, right?
Yeah, it's like
They're minus wall,
when
maybe they're minus something
I'm
else.
hanging in here, and like obviously you don't have to fully explain yourself in a scrim because that will just take way too long. Because I feel that when I'm trying to cook on Ana, that I can't like explain the full cook. But like saying, I guess like Phoenix said, leave me out to dry, go for this. Like I'm fine. So that I'm not, I guess in this scenario, if I'm playing BAP, like she said, trying to be like, oh shit, I need to ammo, I'm scared of this nade, and then you getting walled, and me trying to like pull this perfect ammo off, you accepting like, I have a vision, trust me, I need you to do blank, like this needs, X thing needs to happen, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think Cal, this might help you as well because obviously you were starting at the top with Tony up there, and then when they rotated towards optical, that's when you guys had to drop, right? Because obviously, like you don't want to get rushed on by their entire team. So I think when you drop, just like using that little bit of dead time, like Pleb explained a couple VODs back. This is prior to optical about like utilizing dead time to communicate what you guys want to do. That's like a perfect moment of you saying, "I'm gonna push stairs, force wall, high ground is hitbox." So like something like that, because then optical will know. Maybe optical can like blink back to that location where he's at right now, and then Shap and Puffles can like spam the high ground, and maybe Puffles can like preemptively get ready to throw an Amor up there for you when you walk forward into the high ground after beating the wall or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Or we can like plan for a dynamite up there or something like that. So just keep that in mind for anybody who's like dictating a play.
Play.
You know what I mean?
And it also can go the other way, where instead of like being aggressive and leaving you out to dry, you can say, I guess in that situation, right? If you're in there, I'm in a guessing game of, does the MO need to go on our side of the doorway, or does the MO need to go towards the car? Like where are you ending so you don't get bumped? So maybe the play is, I'm looking for cooldown. I'm ending by car so that I can throw MO at the right spot. Because it's really hard to like time MO. Like not only timing MO, trying for it to not get walled off, um, and then trying to like read a 50-50 of, are we coming down the stairs or are we staying up top? Because if it's like, yeah, gamble on throw MO up top and we make a play, like that works too. Like there's so many things we can try. You just have to be decisive and pick one, I guess. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, because we can always vote it. If we were like, okay, that didn't cook, we'll try something different. I would rather try 50 different things and it take like 5 years, but we finally figure out what cooks, than to like aimlessly, or like not, maybe do the same thing wrong over and over, or aimlessly, or not intentionally. Even if we get lucky and get it right the first try, because we've had things like that where we just try something and it cooks, and then I feel like we don't do it again for whatever reason. And there's like that part of me that says like, I mean, we've been cooking like blank, but why not rinse and repeat? You know, if we find like the recipe, we should. Sorry,
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
I feel like
The reason that we try things and they work and then we like don't do them again is because things on the other side change. If that makes sense, right? So like we play our standard comp, and then the comp that we see on the other side changes, right? So what we do into a hazard comp um, potentially works into other comps, but when we see that they don't have a hazard anymore, now they have a Reinhardt or something, or whatever, insert something changes on the other side. That's where we start to say to ourselves, as individuals, I need to do something different into that character. Um, and then when we change things up individually, like other people might still be, you're like, okay, well, the last time that I played this map, I did this, so I'm just gonna do this again. But then Cal might be like, well, they have a different tank, so I need to do something else. And then like, we play one way here, Cal plays a different way now. It doesn't work because we did one thing, and then the next fight, the supports try to adjust to what Cal did, but then Cal said, well, that didn't work, so then he adjusts, and then we just get disjointed that way as well.
Mm.
That's so true. Honestly, my biggest problem is that I'm kind of slow. If I'm gonna be honest, bro, like I'm a little slow in the head, but I figure out how things work while it's happening. So that's why like I sometimes I have a communication problem because I'm trying something, but then I'm like I don't communicate it because like I'm too busy trying to build it up in my head while things are happening, right? And then like I'm focusing on my mechanics, and then I'm also like focusing on what's in front of me, what's going on around me, and like I have a hard time trying to balance all those things out. But I think what'll help is that I keep reminding myself to let you guys know what I want to try, or what would even be better is if we all ask each other like, all right, like I see you're trying to do
What?
this. I see you trying to do this, Puffles. That's why sometimes I ask you, Puffles, like, oh, I see what you're trying to do, Puffles, because like I always look at you because whenever you play online, I know you want to do something. So I always ask you what you're trying to do, and then that's when you're able to communicate to me. Or sometimes you communicate it to like everyone what you want to do. You know what I mean?
I think you've answered your own question though, Cal. I think what will help, at least from what it sounds like for your backline, just narrate what you're doing until you like get more comfortable like saying it, like in more shorter spurts. Just like talking about what you're thinking, like outright. You know what I
I
mean?
don't mind if
Yeah.
you narrate. I literally don't mind if you go on streamer mode and be like, "Chat, I'm looking here. I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. Oh, I'm kind of scared." Like, I think that's helpful because I will say like, or I feel like I say, I don't know how in reality, um, but I kind of feel like streamer talking helps, and I feel like there's times where I say I'm scared here.
Yeah.
I don't know examples off the top of my head, but I feel like I try to. If there's something uncomfortable, I'll say like I'm scared here, and
Yeah.
maybe that feels or that translates to we're in an uncomfortable position, or what y'all are doing puts either me and Cham or the back line in like a rough spot, or I'm just getting like bad vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
No, and these kinds of things, right? Communicating more, right? I don't necessarily want us all to be like I don't expect us all to be like, okay, like I'm doing this and saying it like concisely, like as the bad player, like I'm standing like on the edge of our high ground so that I can lamp onto their high ground, like this kind of thing, and then how like to be like, okay, like, I'm gonna walk down the stairs and I'm gonna get wall out, and then I'm gonna go and kill like murder the Anna, like whatever. We don't need that. Just little things, right? So like one fight, Cow is like, I want to bait the wall out. I'm gonna walk down the stairs to bait the wall out, right? And then like maybe the next fight, Optical's like, okay, like I want to push up the stairs behind them and like pulse them or whatever, right? Just people communicating a little more. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just I just want us to talk, because I think it's gonna be easier for me to be like, well, that these are useless comps, than to for us to like not necessarily talk about what we're doing, and then for me to kind of like guess what you guys are doing, or have to ask you in a VOD, or ask you like after the map, to
Yeah.
figure it out. So but just communication makes things way easier, right? And yeah, with the narrating too is like, what I would say about that is I think it's hella useful if one person is just like, I'm doing this now, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I expect them to do this, like these kinds of things. It makes it way easier. But I will say that even on top of that is that like if we take turns doing it without realizing that we're taking turns doing it, it takes the pressure off of like everybody, right? And then I think it has the added benefit too of one person might be like uber aggressive minded and somebody else might be like really passive minded, and that'll throw the other team off as well. Of like, well, they went super aggressive in the previous fight, so surely they'll do that again, and then all of a sudden now we're like turtle, like, or vice versa. It's like they can't make a game plan because they're not thinking, they don't have that much forethought. They're not like, well, they could go aggressive or they could go passive. They're just gonna be like, well, they did this last fight, so this is what we do. But yeah, and I mean, Cook, like the kill box doesn't have to be here on Hollywood. Like, I think this is optimal, right? For the kill box to be like all of this, right? Try to stop them before they really get anywhere. Exactly what Optical was saying is I want to hit them as they're going through the choke, as they're going up the stairs, because I want to get kills early. That makes sense. Like, I get that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be that, right? We could say to ourselves, okay, like we're all just gonna stand inside, not all of us, but like, as the core, we're gonna hide in here so that we don't take damage early, and then maybe Cal stands like right here, and then we just wait for them to like either come to point or walk around this way, right? And then the kill box becomes like this, or right, like on the point. We can cook with that, right? Like other options would be like, well, we could stand on their side of the map, right? Have our core go stand over here, or like our core stands inside of dark, like around the corner and waits, right? Killbox doesn't have to be in this one spot. It's just, it is important to say we're expecting them to walk through this portion of the map, and this is where we're going to hit them, right? And then people know, okay, I can stand like here to support this. I can stand over here to support this. I can, these kinds of things, right? It'll
Yeah.
make it easier for us to take the fight at the same time. All right, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask the team, because it's been about an hour. Do you guys want to watch a round or two of Cerveza, and you guys pointing out moments of like tempo or things like that, or do you want to take it away as homework to kind of like review yourselves and uh find those moments of tempo issues or things like that? What do you guys want to do?
Ready for battle.
I think it would be best if we did it together now. I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest.
Yeah, we could watch a round or two clip.
But
I
I
just don't
also
want to keep
understand
them
if
for too long.
people gotta head out because I also have work at like 8 tomorrow.
We can watch this first fight if everybody's down for that.
Sure.
Fucking roof.
Hmm.
Just play from the backside. Yeah, that's probably the best. Maybe not that far, but like
They,
that
they come up
left
in
corner.
front of me.
Should have a setting to remove the roofs.
Yeah, true. So, I do just want to comment briefly on why I was saying to come here. The reason for this is that, like,
Range.
a little bit. If you wanted to play for range, then you would play from the other side. The reason that I'm
Or
saying
like
this is
we don't have range.
that,
Is what
yeah,
I meant.
that as well, yes. Right. And I think you are making note of that as well. Of like, well, Cass doesn't actually like, Cass is not a sniper. He's like a medium range character. One of the few in the game.
Tony normally plays Ash. Tony normally plays Ash, and I'm just used to Puffles playing Ana. So I was just thinking like, oh, I went into this game thinking we were playing Ash Ana, and then I didn't really look at what we were playing. I was like, let's go to the right side, and we'll have our Ash and Ana. We'll have like a lot of range, and we can outrange whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much more I'm gonna play Ana on stuff like Cerveza, because it just puts way too much pressure on Cal. Like, there's certain situations where Cal just needs Suzu. Like
Yeah,
this.
yeah. It requires
It's just
what
too
I
much
find
pressure
on the
on it.
Flashpoint maps is that if you're gonna play an Ana when your team is like probably playing a rush comp or a pseudo rush comp, is that like you have to walk around the enemy team, and then yes, it puts a lot of pressure on your tank, for you to
Oh,
do that to get value in the fight.
I think looking back on this, I feel like we probably should have banned Lucio just like
I think
for like
Lucio might have already been banned.
because I think we banned Malga, but I feel like banning Lucio also bans Malga, and it
If
also
this
bans
is
Ram, and it also bans.
They can still just play
if this
Juno
was the
Brig.
I mean,
scrim that
they
I'm
can play
thinking
like
about, they
Juno
already
Brig.
banned Lucio and King.
Like it is not
Yeah,
like
but
the
we can
Juno
ban
speed is
Lucio.
not the same as Lu, but like there's alternatives that they can take there.
I mean,
I would
yeah,
not
they
rely
can
on
play Juno Brig.
I would not rely on winning maps through bans unless they have like an insane Ana player or like one of their DPS is going crazy or they have a tank one trick that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like banning like utility based things is like it's nice, but it is not something that you can be like, well, we banned Lucio here, so it's a free win, right? It's like yeah, it might
Well,
make it easier on
it was
ourselves, but it's not. Um, I like that we're thinking about these things, but the most important thing to me is like how we start this fight before the point is even unlocked. This is like the most important fight, in my opinion, on Flashpoint. Yes, you can recover from it if you lose this fight, but like if you win this fight, you are in a very good position to just win the map. That being said, the thing that I wanted to point out is that when you come here, right, kind of regardless of comp, even if you had a range comp, I suppose if you had like a bulk comp, like if you were on like a Sig, you took like a Juno for speed and a Sig, and then all range damage, range characters, or even you have a Lu and then you have like a BAP Sig and then range, then you would go the other side. Or if you wanted to like set your N up over there and you're on a dive comp, you could do that. But we're playing like pseudo brawl comps for the most part. So the reason that I say to come here is that you get to come over here and this door is like not very wide, right? And if they're on a brawl comp, they're just standing on the other side of it, right? But we can still go like we can just keep walking. So like first of all, what I like to do when I play these maps is that by the point that I'm here, if they're close to the door, I'll have a pretty good idea of what they're on, right? Because I'm seeing like this. And then I can say like, okay, like we walk like this, to kind of create space. We use this as cover, and then we can kind of like stall the fight out. And then I decide, hey, we're gonna speed this way or we're gonna go this way. And then the other thing is, if I don't immediately see them, then we can walk up to the door, and then if they're like all the way on the other side, then we figure out what they're on, and then we can continue to walk past and kind of like reset the fight because the point's not unlocked yet, or I could say, all right, like we're just gonna take space in towards the point. It gives you a lot of options because of these walls right here to like kind of get info and then stable really quickly, compared to the other side. Compared to the other side, you don't get these options nearly as much. They're gonna take space. They're guaranteed to take space from the other side. And you're probably like there's the potential that you take damage while you're coming up the stairs, or then you have to come stand here to get info, and then like you can't. This is not a lot of cover. This is not nearly as much cover as as everything over here. So it's just I personally, I think coming to the main door, especially when you're on regardless of whether you're like a medium range comp or you're a brawl comp, going over to the other side gives you a lot more opportunities to kind of like slow the fight down, figure out what they're on, figure out what you're gonna do about it, and then kind of like take it from there. Compared to being over here, it's like you might have to like fully reset out that way or like go all the way over here, depending on what they're on. Like you could
What
walk
are
this
the
Yeah.
way, but then they
benefits of that part?
know and they have tempo on you. And the other thing too about that cover over on the other side is that it's right. It's so close in, you don't have to like walk really far to do things. It's like the walls are like right here, right? You come here and then you just walk back into cover over there. Like, so I just think that it gives you a much better opportunity of kind of like slowing things down and figuring it out. That's all that I want to say about that. Just worth considering that like the way the doors are can like be an advantage or a disadvantage.
Yeah. I think you called our comp a brawl comp. And I feel like our brawl comp just loses to their brawl comp. So I feel like we have to, like, if they get on top of us, which is what they
Take you
did, which is
over.
why I think we lost. That's why I was thinking of the Lucio ban is it slows the game down, and it makes it so that I think Hog wants slower fights so that he can get his pick. If they just all 5-man rush us, I think we lose that every time, and I think we did lose that every time.
Yeah, that's fair. And we'll get to that. We'll get to the way that I think that we should be playing this, right? Because it's not you're right. Like it's not a brawl comp. It's a pseudo brawl comp in the sense that, like you're pretty close range. You're pretty close range. I would argue that like while Lou can spam, he's pretty close range. And then everybody else is like medium range, right? Like compare, and then you compare that to their comp. It's like okay, like they got close range. They got close range. Um, and then they have like long range. Whatever.
Yeah.
I fucked up. You get the point. The
Yeah, I get it.
Hog is like medium. Kiri is like really the only long range character on your team. Hog medium, cast medium, and then close range. And they have 2 close range, and then like Ram is weird because he's he does both. And then Kiri is like also long range, right? So the issue is that then they beat you at range, right? They poke you down and then get on top of you and eat you alive. Whereas our damage doesn't start coming through until they've already done damage to us because they have more long range damage than us. So pseudo brawl comp. And the important thing to note about our comp is that yes, we don't beat them in the brawl, right? And we also don't beat them in the long range. We win in
Yeah.
medium range damage, and so we have to meme that somehow. I think by walking back, right? So we take position. We take position, and then kind of like bait them towards us, and then like either walk back or just kind of chill until they're like in medium range. We want to like utilize our speed to keep them at like arm's reach so that we can get value that way. Whereas they want to shoot us and then speed to get into melee range, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll just play it forward here just so we can see. And I think we were a little confused about, right? So again, taking advantage of what I was talking about on the way that the store works, right? Is that we get to come right here, and then we get to see what they're on, and then we get to kind of like take a breath, take a beat, and be like, okay, like this is what we want to do against their comp, right? And I think some people were doing that. Some people were like, well, we're gonna like Tone is looking forward. Shap started to go backwards because I think there was a call made that like we're going backwards, but like Puff was like, well, are we walking all the way around? Or are we walking this way? Whatever. So we're a little confused about what we're doing. Again, the door enables you to take a beat and figure out what you're doing. But you do need to kind of, even though we're on speed, this is like, that's a really important thing that I take advantage of in whenever I'm jockeying the tempo as the Lucio is like, not just like speeding. I don't want to call it aimlessly, but like
Speeding purposely. You just
right,
speed
yeah,
purposely.
right. So like like I'm not using amp by this point, and hopefully by this point I'm seeing what they're on, and then I might make a call and say, okay, like just send it, or like keep walking around so that I can kind of like corral us to then get a good speed. Or I might say, oh, they're on the other side of the point. Well, just kind of walk across at them, and I'll speed us when we need to, right? Um, but that's the point. Whatever. Biggest thing is just like take advantage of what the store does for us, which is give us a chance to kind of figure. There's very few comps where like chilling right here on this corner is going to result in them just like running out and killing us. They basically need a May to take advantage of us chilling on this corner.
Flashpoint unlocks in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is what I was talking about on the previous map, which is like, taking these fights simultaneously, right? We're going for this flank. Nothing wrong with this, right? There's nothing wrong with walking up the stairs and coming from behind them, right? Even if we're stacked, like I was saying before. But the issue is that as we're doing this, we're closing on this Soj. Even if we kill this Soj, somebody over here is probably dead.
I think
Right.
the whole team dies there. It's just like right in that situation. It's over.
And this is where communication is key, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
had
Like
no idea Cal was there.
yeah, like
Like I
Cal,
was
like
doing my
okay,
little
I'm
flank and I
walking
saw
through.
Cal. I was like, oh well, I'm already here, so I'm just gonna do whatever.
Yeah, it's like Cal is like, okay, like I'm walking this way so that I can go behind them, right? But in the meantime, that's where Cal is like, you know, you guys need to live. You need to live. We're aiming for a pinch, either on point or like right here, right? Because if they don't see anything out here, then they're just gonna kind of stagnate right there, right? Then we get to create this pinch through the point, as long as they didn't see us here, they didn't run out on us. But that needs to be communicated so that we, you know, can hide, so that we can walk away, we can hide. And then again, going back to the, you know, who's important, who can see, is tank is like, I know what I want to do generally for the most part, right? Unless like one of my supports or my DPS is steering me. And then the other side too is that supports can look through the wall and see things. I will say that the onus is kind of on you, Cal, because you walked in and you saw them, and then you said, "I don't want to walk at them. I'm going to walk around them." And then we trying to get that same info that you had without you telling us. We've taken damage to get that same info, and now they're here. Right, and then we just loop
Scooby-Doo.
around. Yeah,
We're
and we
looping.
live way longer than we should have. And it was a good loop. The issue is that the longer that you loop for, the more likely it is that somebody gets left behind and dies. Right? And so this is why it's super important to initiate fights well, to have the tempo in the beginning. That way your game plan is just like, okay, we're just gonna walk back away from them. Like, fair enough. You know, it doesn't have to get overly convoluted. It's like we're just gonna walk away from them until, you know, we can pinch them or until they die. Compared to, oh shit, like they're just walking at us, run, you know. And then somebody's like, I'm running to the left, and then, you know, somebody's like, oh, to the left, and they go to the left, and then you're like, oh, my other left, and, you know, and then they're dead. But yeah, let me just watch this play out. That's fine.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I couldn't really like do anything because I feel like it takes too long for me to work into the fight. Like I have to get Kiri TP out, get Suzu out. Like everyone's gone, and then like Kiri TP's out whenever I go for her, and then I look for Kiri, and then she's with the 5 other people that are on top of my team, and it's like they take like a 4v5, or like they get forced into a 4v5 just because like they just get on top of the team really quickly.
Yeah. Well, we started
Like
the
they
fight.
just
We
get
started
pulled
the fight like horrendously, right? Because we didn't communicate with
like
each other,
throughout the
and
game.
she
Like throughout the game.
still died. Yeah, and it was a common theme throughout the entire map. Was the us doing that the, as Puffles put it, the Scooby Doo, like that was, we did that quite often. If we didn't just, you know, stand somewhere where they just killed somebody outright immediately and we didn't even get a chance to do it. So what I would say about that is that, again, if we play our cards right, we can use the fact that they think they're on a brawl comp. They're not thinking about the fact that Kiri's a long range character, that Sojourner is a long range character, right? Or that Ram is a long range character. They're all a death ball. And so if we can start the fight properly and kind of like bait them, kind of kite away from their core to give us a chance to create that pinch, the Kiri has nowhere to go. She'll TP right in front of you, and then she'll die. And worst case is that you're just shooting them in the back to get cooldowns, and then all of our chip damage results in somebody dying. But it just didn't start the fight well. And then it's still staggered here too. Now we did get percentage, but once it flips, like we reset, we die, we reset. Maybe not. You guys, your mechanics came through. Okay. This is the thing that I noticed, right? So, fuck this goddamn, this ceiling. Oh my god. All right.
W Blizzard design.
So you guys are coming here, right? And you're thinking that you want to walk like this, right? You want to walk to either they're gonna come through here and you're gonna cleave them like right about here, or I'll use a different color so that it's more clear. They're gonna
Well,
come like
I
this,
was just
or
flanking, you know,
they're gonna come
just
like
doing
this.
quicker things.
Yeah, right. And I think that it's okay for Cal to be doing this too, because this is, he's thinking to himself, well, it's gonna be easier for me to do things if I'm doing this, right? And like that's fair, you know. And the other option would be that we set Tony up like on the off angle. Maybe we have Tony like hide over here, and then we create a pinch, like right here, right? And then we have, we speed we speed Cal backwards, right? And then Puff can still TP to Tone. These kinds of things. It's a little more complicated, I think, if we do that. This is almost easier doing this. It's just important that when we do this, right? When we do have this, double flank like this, right? We're aware of the fact that like they're either gonna come through this door, right? And so we're gonna cleave them right about here when they're in that room. We're gonna be coming from behind, and we're gonna be standing here in front, kind of like stretching them thin, or they're gonna walk around and come this way, and then you guys can, you're like already here, and then you either walk through that room, or you walk all the way behind them. I don't think it matters too much. The only difference would be that if they do come like this way, then this set of people need to walk back sooner. But if they come through the room and then you pinch them from behind in the room, we don't have to walk as far. We could even like as this core, we could even walk like this and then drop down this way, and then like kind of meet up with you guys, create a pinch right about here. Also drawing. But biggest thing is just taking note that if you guys are going for a flank, right, then our core is the bait, right? Particularly Tony, right? He's the most vulnerable person in our comp, and so we need to be walking Tony away, right? This needs to be made clear. Now, this is where like hitboxes are fluid, right? Because again, we don't know where they're walking through. We can try to stand up close to force them to come through the small room, but they might walk around on the outside. They might even go like all the way back and take that same fight that they did on the stairs over there. But we need to get that info soon, like as soon as we can, and then start to walk. And then at that point, given all of that, everything that I've just said about the flanking, is if they come from the left side of the map, wherever they come from, our hitbox then becomes like somewhere across the point, right? But we just the way that we make that happen is that like they come this way, and then we walk our core back along the point to bait them this way, and then that it lets you guys kind of come behind them like this, or like all the way around like this, or through the small room. But most important thing here, and why you felt like you couldn't really achieve anything, is because either we're fighting them because we've backed up too soon, or they're killing somebody, and then like now that's that much less damage that we have on our team, and so then your damage you need to do more damage to feel meaningful, or maybe Cal isn't participating
Mechanics.
soon enough. Yeah, right, right. And so it's like this is a way to get around that, right? Hit headshots or have a better game plan.
Was there something I guess you and Phoenix wanted us to do for this map? Like when Phoenix talked about like homework and stuff. I'll do it
Just
now.
that watching
just-
it and seeing where we got disjointed, right? Like you saw in that first fight where we're going for that flank, but like they're already hitting our core, and our flank can't participate, doesn't get to participate as soon, right? And then we're put in a position where we have to, win the fight out, like duke it out with our mechanics. And again, not saying that I want you guys to be like, oh, I can't hit a shot, like this and that. Like you're playing the game. It's just that while it is a first-person shooter, it's also a MOBA, and so you want to, you know, whatever. It's a strategy game on top of being a shooter.
Yeah, I guess what like to the homework thing that I was mentioning, it's not like literal homework, right? I'm not gonna make you guys do homework unless you're missing a VOD. But it's more so like when Pleb has these like team VODs and he's talking about like a general theme, whether it be previous team VODs, Pleb is talking about like dead time. What could you do in dead time? What is your thought process? This one's about tempo. So it's like what you should do in practice is like when you have time, go back to old codes, just watch a couple fights, whether it be a point or a round or whatever. Oh, fun. Um, and
Nice.
and then you guys like take that theme of what you learned of this team VOD and just watch. And when something has happened, like I mentioned that Pleb would point out of this is an example, stop it and think, what could the team have done differently? What's the troubleshooting? What are the comms I would do? And if you practice those things while watching the VODs back, knowing these new things that like Pleb is talking about, it'll help troubleshooting in the scrim be a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So like that's more what I was talking about in that regards. And you'll be able to see those moments a lot easier in the scrim if you're like critically thinking about them outside of scrim or in your comp games or things like that. It'll become a lot more fluid. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't ideally nobody should be going into these scrims with a blank mind, nonchalant, la di da da, right? You should all be going in with like a purpose and intention of what you want to work on and things like that, or how you want to play or how you want to take a fight. Because things will be a lot more fluid that way.
Also,
Yeah.
speaking of comms, something I learned yesterday was like watching Phoenix play. She was telling someone would say something, and then people would respond with heard. I feel like there's situations where one of us asks for something, and I'm gonna try to start implementing it too. It's gonna take work, um, because like changing your comms and intentionally thinking about. But I think it would be a massive help for all of us if when anyone says like something, just like even if uh you don't have like an answer or whatever, even just saying heard, um,
Like a
I
word
think
of
Yeah.
acknowledgement.
yeah, it like I think that if you don't know what to say, just like trying to default on her, that can be like a default thing. That we just try to build up. Because I feel like
The
there's just some situations where,
wow.
Whatever.
It's still
someone
bugging.
wants to do something, or it's like, I need X thing. Or even like if it's me, for example, if someone's saying, I need nano, and then I can say her, or,
The
um,
example that Puffles saw with me was I gave a comm to like some rando in my comp game of like, I want you to do this. And my rando was like, I'm going to do this instead. Instead of me arguing that, I just said, heard. Okay, now we're going with your game plan. And Puffles and I talked about it with that Coliseum match with you, Cal, actually, where Puffles wanted to go in, but you were a little wary. So like that's a moment where either you say heard on Puffles and just like shoot the shit, do what Puffles said, or you give your wariness of like I don't know if we should do this, and then Puffles says heard. Okay, we're nixing my plan. We're going with yours. So that way there's like less confusion on what are we actually doing. You know what I mean? It's like that
hmm,
confirmation. It doesn't have to be the word heard. It could be okay or yep or got you, whatever you guys want to say, but like a confirmation of like this was a game plan somebody said or a game plan that I said, and like we're actually all on the same page type thing. You know what I mean?
Copy.
If that's a good way of explaining it, Puff.
I just don't want people to feel like ignored anymore. Cause that's like I think that's like an easy source of tilt for people. When you just don't feel like you're even if you're uh yeah, just like saying anything and then no one responds and it's just, or if you're trying, like if we're all at spawn and we're all thinking, it herd can like also mean like because you know how you said, Cal, like you're thinking, it can literally, that can be just like an easy code word for like uh I acknowledged what you said. I don't have like a like response for, like, I'm thinking right now without like actually needing to say all that. Right? It's like, hey, we could go this way. Heard. And then you maybe, I guess. I'm just
That makes sense. I mean, I'm the one who does it, so maybe. And does anybody else understand what Bubbles is saying?
Yeah.
Heard.
Thank you. Thank
Communi-
you, Shop.
communication
Okay,
goes
to
both
end.
ways.
yeah. It's something that I want to work on personally. If y'all don't do it, oh well. But it's something that I want to try. I think it'll help a lot. Cause like the Coliseum, I could I can say heard.
Heard.
And then cause it also not only, because that, I guess that situation also sounds like it's just me and Cal, but also for you guys, because if I say heard, that means like the plan is dead. Because some of you made a bit, maybe half the team was like, okay, yeah, we're doing what Puff said. And then when Cal says no, the other half says, oh, I guess we're not doing that. So then we have like half the team doing what I said, and then half the team doing what Cal said, and then we get disjointed and then picked and staggered even worse. Whereas if Cal says no, I can't. I'm sorry. And then I say heard, that like says to the whole team that the plan is dead. Does that? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you guys land on. I mean, communicate more. Right. So like if you can, you know, like if you can like implement something like this, you know, some kind of structure like this, like that's great. But what I've found in the past across various teams is that like comp structure is like difficult to achieve outside of, oh, you're playing the support that like doesn't have to aim, so what are their ults? Like, and like, oh, tank, where are you trying to walk? Where are you trying to press W key? You know, or like DPS saying somebody is low. Um, so whatever you guys land on, like, you know, you land on. But yeah, I can't load that fucking code up, so whatever. But I was gonna show the power of looking through walls.
This is a good ending clip to this team VOD, guys. You guys will have some fun with this one.
Right. So just to highlight, like I went over here. I'm hoping that they don't know that I'm over here, but I'm like fairly confident that they don't know that I'm over here because I did look at them like, and they weren't looking at me. Like obviously I can't see enemy outlines, but I saw them before I went in here, and then I'm seeing my teammates die through the wall, and I'm like I'm pretty confident that I'm safe.
That gun is pretty.
Yeah, it's not
I
a
never
J gun,
realized.
right? And then again, I can't see enemy outlines, but I can see how healthy my teammates are, so I can judge by this that my teammates are taking damage. Now, obviously, only supports can take advantage of this portion of the looking through walls, but you can still look through walls to kind of judge like where people are at. And if you hear shooting, then you're like, well, okay, like my teammates are over on the other side of the wall, so the fight is like happening on our side of the map.
The payload's moving. About time.
Right? And then I'm looking through the wall and seeing that my teammates are dying. Obviously, I'm playing it really fast. I don't want to play back because it might break the code.
It'll crash.
But yeah, the second that my teammates start dying, I'm like, okay, the fight is coming to an end, so I want to drop the cart so that they don't look up and see that the cart has been moving. Right, and then I'm waiting for my
I have
teammates
to
to respond.
interject real quick. right now, what did you do to get the attention of our team?
Yeah, so okay, so before I did not communicate anything. I'm simply looking through the wall and seeing that my teammates are fighting, and I'm just inner monologue like, oh, this is a perfect time for me to C9 like more than half of third. And then at this point is when I'm like, I think we were like, we need to like back out, we need to regroup as we start dying, and I'm like, no, just keep fighting them.
Yeah, so literally what happened is Pleb said, keep fighting, because I called back out, we gotta regroup. Pleb said, no, keep fighting. I literally said, herd, everybody, push, die, feed your brains out. And and the power of communication. Power of acknowledging comms. Easy, Snap. Easy.
I was able to push it from like here all the way to the end. And I had to do it in 2 parts, obviously, but I was able to do that because I looked through the wall as a support player. It's so broken. It's so busted being able to see your teammates through the wall. Not just like, so you can be like, oh, like I can't see what my teammate's health bar is, but they look weak and so I'm going to prepare to heal them. Like you can also just be like, judging by how quickly they turn from green to yellow, you can be like, okay, like there's 2 people there. Even if your teammates aren't telling you that there's 2 people there. Yeah, I will.
Any outlanding questions, guys? Outstanding, I guess is more the word I'm looking for.
Why is it always my team's fault? Oh, never mind. Yeah, you actually had something to say. I'm sorry.
Why is our aunt throwing?
Are we like, what are we looking for whenever we're like, if we want to do a tournament or something? Like,
Oh yeah, I heard of a tournament that's starting at the beginning of April. It will be a multi-month tournament to my knowledge. They haven't set up all of the rules or the what is the outline of the tournament type thing. It's gonna be NAPC structure. I don't know if I'm assuming it'll have perks. I don't know about bans, but they're still setting up the rulebooks on it. I've been in communication with the person who is organizing it and running it. So once I get that information, I'll let you guys know what I need from you guys and when the tournament days are or what that looks like. And then we'll be able to like have a more detailed discussion of signing you guys up and getting the ball rolling on that one. Is that answering your question?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've known of this April one at the beginning of March. I'm just waiting for them to actually finalize the rule books and tournament dates and start dates and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's all I have.
Cool. Okay, Pleb, I'll have you cancel the VOD so I'm not